In 1932, a woman sought help from Carl Jung. She was the family's outcast, banished by her relatives for refusing to ignore her father's alcoholism. They branded her dramatic, unfaithful, the very source of their problems. But Jung offered a perspective that reframed her entire existence. You are not the issue. You are the immune response. In every family, there's a member whose system cannot withstand the family's unspoken lies. That individual is made the scapegoat, not because they are flawed, but because they are conscious. And families, paradoxically, rely on the black sheep for their own survival, even as they actively try to cast them out. If you've been called the problem child, the overly sensitive one, the agitator who can't just let bygones be bygones, you are not flawed. You are the black sheep. Jung realized that these individuals serve a vital function in family healing through 5 distinct mechanisms. Yet, most black sheep are never taught how to leverage this position, so they carry the weight without ever realizing their own strength. This woman's journey with Jung shows precisely how black sheep act as the family's hidden truth-teller and why grasping these mechanisms is life-altering. The woman who entered Jung's Zurich office in 1932, whom we will name Anna, had been ostracized by her family 6 months prior. During a family meal, she had pointed out her father's drinking, not as an accusation, but as a statement of fact. Father seems to be drinking more these days. The room fell silent. Then her mother rose. How could you bring such shame upon this family? Leave! Anna was 28 and had always lived at home. That evening, she was cast out. Her siblings ceased all communication. She became a cautionary story. See what occurs when you betray your family. She arrived at Jung's office in a state of confusion. I merely stated the truth. They all know father drinks. Why am I the one being punished for saying what is common knowledge? Jung replied. You aren't being punished for your honesty. You're being punished for violating the family's unspoken agreement to pretend. This makes you the most threatening person in their world because you are the immune system that has identified the disease. This is the immune system mechanism, the first of 5 roles the black sheep plays. The black sheep is not the unwell one. They are the one whose nervous system rejects the family's shared fantasy. All families function with overt rules like be polite and work diligently, and covert contracts like never mention father's drinking, ignore mother's indiscretions, and act as if everything is perfect. The black sheep is either born with or cultivates a nervous system that cannot adhere to these hidden agreements. They process data at a deeper level, see nuances others overlook, and feel emotional dishonesty with great intensity. This is not due to rebellion, but because their system detects the gap between what is spoken and what is real. This is corroborated by Dr. Elaine Aron's research on highly sensitive people, which finds that about 20% of the population has a more reactive nervous system. In a functional family, this trait is a gift. In a dysfunctional one, it renders the child a threat, as they perceive the very lies the family relies on. Anna explained, I always sensed the strain beneath the polite chatter. My mother's smile never quite reached her eyes when my father had been drinking. I believed something was wrong with me, that I was imagining things. You were not imagining things, Jung clarified. You were seeing what everyone else was choosing to ignore. Your nervous system was operating correctly. Theirs had learned to function within denial. The black sheep isn't overly sensitive. They are accurately sensitive. The others have dulled their senses to endure the dysfunction. Their system, however, refuses to become numb. When Anna finally spoke at that dinner, it was her system's emergency response, akin to a fever breaking to fight an infection. But the family perceived it as a breach of contract, and the penalty for that breach is banishment. An infection must be detected by someone. The black sheep's system does this instinctively. They are the family's built-in diagnostic instrument. You are not the problem. You are the fire alarm. And the family is attempting to dismantle the alarm because they are unwilling to confront the blaze. Without the black sheep, The family's dysfunction persists unchecked, passed down to the next generation. The black sheep breaks this chain, not by decision, but by their very nature. If your family labels you as too sensitive or dramatic, comment, "I'm the immune system." Recognizing this role is only the first step. The second mechanism explains why the family needs to make you a scapegoat to maintain its own stability. 3 months into their sessions, Anna posed the question that haunted her. Why do they hate me? I am their child, their sister. Why do they see me as an adversary? She endlessly replayed the scene of her banishment, her mother's expression, her siblings' silence, the whispers from extended family, all directed at her as if she had committed an unforgivable crime. I spoke a single sentence, a fact everyone was aware of, and they painted me as the villain. They do not hate you, Jung said gently. They hate what you symbolize, the truth they have structured their lives to avoid. To continue avoiding it, they must cast you as the problem. This is the scapegoat mechanism. Anna had become familiar with the family's story about her since she was exiled. It reached her through various channels, whispers that found their way back to her. The narrative her family spun was, everything was peaceful until Anna began creating drama. She was always hard to handle, overly emotional, looking for trouble. If only she would let the past go, we could find happiness. She recited this to Jung as if by rote. She had heard it so often it had begun to feel like the truth. Consider what that story achieves, Jung prompted. Anna paused, reflecting. Her eyes widened. It removes father's alcoholism as the problem and installs me as the problem instead. Precisely, he said. The disease vanishes, and the alarm system itself is labeled the sickness. The scapegoat mechanism allows the family to avoid change, because admitting the real issue would force the entire structure to reorganize. Father would need to seek sobriety. Mother would have to cease her enabling. The siblings would have to face their own complicity in the denial. The change, shame, and effort are too great. So it is easier to make the black sheep the issue. Banish them, and the family feels a sense of relief. We are not dysfunctional. We just had one troublesome member. After Anna's exile, her mother remarked to relatives, "It has been so tranquil since Anna left. She was always causing friction. Now we can finally be a normal family." The mechanism turned reality on its head. Anna's absence did not heal the family. It merely removed the individual who forced them to see their own wound. The alcoholism persisted. The denial grew stronger. But now they could feign normalcy because the problem was gone. The scapegoat bears the family's shadow. All the dysfunction they refuse to see, they project onto you. They call you angry, but you carry their unexpressed rage. They call you divisive, but you simply highlight the divisions that are already there. This is shadow projection within family systems. The family creates a collective shadow, containing realities it cannot consciously face. The black sheep becomes the container for this shadow, not because they are more flawed, but because their refusal to join the pretense makes them an ideal canvas for projection. Alice Miller, the celebrated psychologist and author of The Drama of the Gifted Child, was her family's black sheep. She was the first to identify multi-generational trauma in her family line. Her family dismissed her work, calling her disloyal. Miller noted, "The one who speaks what the body knows becomes the enemy." She was scapegoated for her truth, but she transformed that role into her life's purpose, aiding other black sheep in understanding they were not the problem. Anna started to view her family's attacks in a new light. When her mother sent letters calling her ungrateful and selfish, Anna thought, she is projecting. She feels ungrateful for the daughters who protected father. She is selfish for valuing appearances over her children's welfare, but she cannot admit that. So she puts it on me. When her siblings accused her of tearing the family apart, Anna realized The family was already fractured by alcoholism and denial. I simply pointed out the crack that was already there. The scapegoat mechanism preserves the family, but shatters the scapegoat. Because if you are told your entire life that you are the problem, you eventually internalize it. You absorb the family's projections. 6 months into therapy, Anna told Jung, "For 28 years, I thought I was defective. Now I see my family needed me to be defective. It was a role assigned to me, not the truth of who I am." Anna believed for 28 years that she was flawed. If you've accepted a similar lie, comment below. Your acknowledgement lets others know they are not alone because the scapegoat mechanism shows something critical. When the symptom becomes aware of its purpose, it can cease to fulfill that role. But the family does not relinquish its grip easily. The third mechanism shows why their attacks increase when you attempt to break away. You have until Christmas to choose. Come, or you are finished. No more communication. Anna read her mother's letter in Jung's office, her hands trembling. This was month 9. The final demand had been made. She looked up. "I told her I wouldn't join family events unless father addressed his drinking. She called me heartless, said I was ruining the family. Now she has set a deadline. Attend Christmas and pretend all is well, or I am permanently cut off." Her voice broke. "How is setting a boundary destroying the family? I am only asking them to face reality." "Because your boundary disrupts their balance," Jung explained. "The moment the scapegoat declines their role, the family escalates. You have become the destabilizer, and destabilizers threaten the system's existence." This is the destabilizer mechanism, when the black sheep's healing reveals the true sickness of the system. This is what unfolded. As long as Anna accepted the scapegoat role, the family was stable, dysfunctional, but stable. Each person had their part. Father drank, mother enabled, siblings were silent, and Anna shouldered the blame. But as soon as Anna refused that burden, the balance was broken. Without Anna to blame, where does the dysfunction go? Family systems fight change with the same ferocity that organisms fight illness. When one person changes, the system feels destabilized and works to revert to the old pattern. Anna felt this immediately after setting her boundary. Her mother called every day. On Monday it was guilt. "How can you do this to us after all we've done for you?" On Wednesday, a threat. "If you skip Christmas, you are no longer a part of this family." On Friday, gaslighting. "You remember things incorrectly. Father's drinking was never so severe." Her siblings joined the campaign. Her brother said, "You are being selfish. Can't you just let it be? We are all fine." Her sister added, "Why must you always make things so complicated? Just come and pretend, like the rest of us." Observe what occurred. Anna's boundary, "won't attend unless father gets help," was twisted into Anna's problem. She was selfish, difficult. The family system was fighting for its life, because if they admitted Anna's boundary was fair, they would have to admit father's drinking was not. And that would require the entire system to transform. Her extended family was fed a new narrative. Anna is having a breakdown. She's seeing a psychologist, filling her head with wild ideas. She's threatening to ruin Christmas if we don't meet her demands. Anna's reasonable boundary was distorted into crazy ideas and destroying Christmas. The destabilization was blamed on the destabilizer, not the dysfunction. James Baldwin, who spoke truths about race that unsettled both his family and his nation, understood this deeply. He was attacked for making others face what they preferred to ignore. In a session, Jung told Anna, "They are not attacking you because you are wrong. They are attacking you because you are right. And being right threatens their whole world." Most families will choose denial. The ultimatum pushed Anna to a critical point. Save herself or save the system. She replied to her mother, "I love you, but I will not engage in the pretense that father's alcoholism is not real. I am not trying to destroy our family. I am trying to halt the destruction that is already underway. My boundary is firm. Her mother's reply arrived in less than 24 hours. You are no longer my daughter. Anna read the letter in Jung's office. I expected this, but it still feels like a death. It is a death, Jung said. The part of you that existed to keep them comfortable is dying, but the true you is finally being born. At times, a family cannot be healed from within. Sometimes the only way to prevent the dysfunction from consuming you is to leave. This departure is not abandonment, it is survival. Because destabilizers not only threaten their family, they threaten themselves if they remain in a system that demands their self-annihilation for its own stability. Anna's exile was agonizing, but it initiated the fourth mechanism, the one that shifts the black sheep from victim to healer. If your healing threatens your family's denial, the system will escalate. That escalation is not proof you're wrong, it's proof you're powerful. Comment which family tactic you've experienced: guilt, recruitment of allies, or threatened exile. Because recognizing you're destabilizing doesn't mean you're wrong. It means the system cannot handle your growth. The fourth mechanism shows how to turn that crisis into liberation. 18 months after her banishment, Anna entered Jung's office with a new kind of energy. She was not broken or bitter, but clear. I am not going back. Not because I despise them, but because I finally see. I cannot break this cycle from within it. I must break it by living my own life differently. This is the pattern breaker mechanism. The black sheep stops attempting to fix the family and begins to interrupt the cycle through their own personal transformation. Now the true work starts, Jung said. You have shifted from reacting to the family system to building a new one. This is where the black sheep's real power lies, not in changing them, but in refusing to become them. The task was not about healing the family. It was about Anna healing herself, so the pattern would end with her. She started to trace the pattern backward. Your father's alcoholism did not begin with him. His father drank. His grandfather drank. Each generation believed they were different, yet they repeated the pattern. And with the alcoholism came another pattern: silence. Anna's realization was profound. My grandmother was called difficult by her family. My great-aunt was estranged for causing trouble. I am not the first black sheep. I am the latest in a line of women who refuse to be silent. You are the culmination of their failed attempts, Jung said. Every black sheep before you spoke up and was silenced. You are the one who finally rejects the silence. That is why the pattern can end with you. The pattern breaker does not just avoid their family. They consciously choose different responses in their own life. Anna saw her impulse to numb difficult feelings with work, her mother's pattern, to avoid conflict, her siblings' pattern, and to make herself small for the sake of peace, her own learned pattern. Each time these impulses surfaced, she would stop and ask, is this my pattern or theirs? Do I truly want to work 12 hours? Or am I avoiding loneliness? Is this conflict really not worth it? Or am I afraid of being labeled difficult again? This was conscious interruption, catching the inherited pattern as it tried to emerge and choosing a new path. She practiced speaking her true feelings, even if it made others uneasy. She allowed herself to be seen as difficult when she asserted her boundaries. She chose truth over artificial harmony. Each time I do this, she said, I feel my grandmother's presence, as if she is saying, thank you for speaking the words I could not. She wrote down the true story, not the polished version her family presented to the world, but her actual experience, her father's alcoholism, her mother's enabling, her siblings' complicity, and her own scapegoating. This act of documenting validates your experience against the family's gaslighting. When they claim it wasn't that bad, you have your own proof that it was, and it serves as a record for future generations. If you have children, they won't grow up with the same confusion you did. Virginia Woolf, labeled mad for exposing her family's abuse, turned her documentation into art that liberated countless readers who saw their own family's dysfunction mirrored in her words. Anna's documentation became her freedom. Whenever doubt arose, "Maybe I was too severe," she would read her own words. The evidence was undeniable. Her decision to break away was valid. The most challenging part was accepting that her family might never change. Anna hoped for months that her transformation would awaken them. "If I can just explain it well enough, perhaps they will understand." They may never understand. And your healing cannot be contingent on their awakening, Jung advised. The pattern breaker must release the family to their own journey and concentrate on ending the cycle within themselves. This involves grief work, mourning the family she wished for but would never have, the mother who might never admit the truth, the father who might never find sobriety, the siblings who might never emerge from denial. "I'm not abandoning them," she said. "I'm abandoning the fantasy that my healing will heal them. My healing is for me, for any children I may have, for anyone I mentor, for anyone who sees my life and knows the pattern can be broken." By month 18, she had completed this phase, identified patterns, consciously intervened, documented her truth, and released the fantasy of rescue. "I feel a sense of wholeness I've never known, not because my family accepted me, but because I finally accepted myself. The pattern ends with me. That is sufficient." But one final mechanism remained, one Jung had not yet shared, the most unexpected of all. Which inherited pattern are you actively interrupting? Comment on the one that is hardest to break. Work addiction, conflict avoidance, making yourself small, or emotional numbing? Your response helps others recognize their own. Because breaking the pattern sets you free, but the fifth mechanism shows how it also secretly liberates your family, even if they never acknowledge it. 2 years after starting therapy, Anna received a surprising letter. Her younger sister had also left the family. "After you were gone, I continued to defend mother and father. I kept insisting you were wrong. But last month, father was arrested for driving under the influence. Mother still insisted there was no problem. And I knew you were right. You were always right. I don't know if you can ever forgive us, but I had to let you know. What you did set me free. You showed me that leaving was possible. So, I'm leaving too. Thank you for being courageous when I was not." Anna read the letter to Jung, weeping. "I had no idea. I never thought. This is the liberation mechanism. The black sheep who saves themselves grants permission for others to be saved. You do not heal the family by remaining and sacrificing yourself. You heal the family by leaving and demonstrating another path. It's the paradox that by freeing yourself from the family system, you create the potential for others' freedom. This mechanism is invisible. While Anna's family was attacking her, she was inadvertently creating a blueprint for their escape. Not by fixing them, not by lecturing them, but by living an alternative. You can leave, you can survive, you can flourish." Her sister watched from inside the system. She saw Anna depart, witnessed the family's backlash, saw that Anna did not come back, did not apologize, did not fall apart. And slowly, the sister started to wonder, what if Anna isn't the crazy one? When one family member individuates, becomes their full, true self, it puts pressure on the system. The family must either change or amplify its dysfunction. Most families initially intensify, but eventually, cracks begin to show. Other members begin to question. They have seen that leaving is survivable. They wonder, could I leave too? Anna's sister was not the last. 3 years later, her brother called. "I'm in AA, father's alcoholism. I think I have it too. Your leaving forced me to see what I was drinking to hide from. I just wanted you to know." The black sheep who finds their own salvation often sparks transformation in siblings, even if the parents never change. This does not mean Anna's parents were transformed. They were not. Her father's drinking worsened. Her mother's enabling grew stronger. But their control over their children weakened because Anna demonstrated that the family's ultimate threat was empty. If you leave, you will be ruined. Anna left. Anna was not ruined, and so the threat lost its teeth. When Alice Miller published her work, her family shunned it, but millions of readers found the liberation they had been denied in their own homes. The liberation mechanism works through several channels. Modeling a new possibility, leaving is survivable. Breaking the silence, speaking truth gives others permission. Exposing the choice, family is not fate. And creating developmental pressure, absence permanently destabilizes the system. Anna saw all these pathways activate. Her sister left. Her brother confronted his own drinking. Extended family members began to privately doubt the official story. The family's dynamics were permanently altered. I thought leaving was selfish, Anna reflected. I thought staying and trying to fix them was the loving thing to do. But now I realize leaving was the most loving act of all, not just for myself, but for all of us, because I showed them that they could leave too. The black sheep's greatest service to their family is not their presence but their absence, not because they are abandoning them, but because they are freeing them from the very chains they refuse to take off. This is the paradox families never grasp. The black sheep they banish is often their only chance at healing. Not because the black sheep repairs the system from the inside, but because their departure shatters the illusion that the system is tenable. Some family members will follow the black sheep to freedom. Others will remain in denial until their dying day. But the black sheep's duty is not to save everyone. It is to save themselves. And in doing so, they make salvation an option for anyone ready to choose it. You are not the problem the family must remove. You are the solution the family is unwilling to see. And the tragedy is, by the time they see your worth, you may be so free that you no longer require their validation. Anna smiled. I don't need it anymore, but I am grateful they gave me no other option but to find my own freedom. Being the black sheep once felt like a curse. Now, I see it was a calling. A summary of the 5 mechanisms. Mechanism 1, the immune system. Black sheep have nervous systems that perceive family dysfunction others ignore, acting as vital diagnostic tools. Mechanism 2, the scapegoat. Families project their collective shadow onto the black sheep to evade their real issues, turning the truth teller into the problem. Mechanism 3, the destabilizer. When black sheep reject the scapegoat role, their personal growth threatens the family's balance, provoking intensified attacks. Mechanism 4, the pattern breaker. Black sheep who exit the system and refuse to continue its patterns disrupt generational cycles, ending what could not be resolved from within. Mechanism 5, the liberation. By saving themselves, black sheep create models of freedom that give other family members permission to leave or transform. If you are the family black sheep, you are not the problem. You are the immune system, the truth teller, the one whose healing makes everyone else's denial unsustainable. Your sensitivity is not a weakness. It is the family's final opportunity for change. But you cannot change them by staying and sacrificing yourself. You change the system by leaving and proving there is life beyond the prison they created. Your exile is not a failure. It is the dawn of freedom, first for you, then for anyone courageous enough to follow. Subscribe for more insights into Jungian psychology and family dynamics. Comment which mechanism you are currently experiencing. Your story helps others to name their own journey. And remember Jung's final lesson. The black sheep's burden is to see the truth before anyone else is ready. The black sheep's power is that they cannot unsee it. And that refusal to unsee is what ultimately sets them free. You are not broken, you are awake. And your family needs you to remain awake, even if they can only admit it long after you are gone. Thank you for watching. See you in the next dimension.